Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today is August 11th. Michael Lorenzen has done the fourth no-hitter of the year, and we are going over our July Players of the Month. Let's do it. Hello, everybody. My name is Steven. This is the middle of the order. Happy Mondays, ladies and gentlemen. Today is the day we're finally going to do it. It is August 11th, but we're going over our July Players of the Month. We've got a long episode, a lot of news to go over, a lot of off-the-field stuff to talk about. So we've got an episode full of baseball for all of you baseball heads out there. And, you know, this one might be an hour. Who knows how long this one's going to get. So we're going to try to limit some time here. Let's jump right on in to the Players of the Month. My picks for the Players of the Month for the AL side of baseball teams. So let's get things started here with the AL Catcher of the Month. And this one was kind of tricky. There was no catchers that kind of stood out. Jonah Heim obviously getting injured kind of ruined that. He probably would have gotten it. But I was looking for someone who kind of played a majority of the month, and the guy that stood out to me was Kyle Raleigh. 240 average, 5 home runs, 10 RBIs, an OPS of 838. So good for the Mariners. You know, they've been on a hot streak recently, one of the best teams since the second half started. So, hey, don't count the Mariners yet. That team is still scary, and no one is wanting to see them in a 3-game wild card set, I'll tell you that much. Move along, first baseman. This is where your Texas Ranger comes from. Nathaniel Lau making the case here. 333 average, 4 home runs, 14 RBIs, and OPS good for 1.001. Very good first baseman. The Rangers have been rolling as of late, so good for him. For second baseman, I want to go with Whit Merrifield from your Toronto Blue Jays. 356 average, 7 home runs, 20 RBIs, and OPS of 997. It surprised me to see Merrifield, more of a contact guy, a hitter-friendly guy, have 7 long balls on the month. So he's been getting hot. He's moved into the leadoff spot recently with Springer's struggles. So it's been a good month for him. Congratulations, Whit. Third baseman now, Isaac Paredes from your Tampa Bay Rays. 246 average, 8 home runs, 12 RBIs, an OPS of 1.015. What more can you say about the Tampa Bay Rays? The season they've had has gone very well. They had a hot start. They've kind of slowed down as of late, second in the AL East, but they still got the guys there that, surprise you, guys like Jose Siri and all of them. So Isaac Paredes is your July Player of the Month. For shortstop, this one was easy. Bobby Witt Jr., 327 average, 6 home runs, 21 RBIs, an OPS of 979. Bobby Witt has been killing it, had a really good week, really good series not too long ago. I think it was like 8 for 10 with 2 home runs, in a 2-game span. So he's been killing it as of late. The Royals on that 7-game winning streak a while ago. So good for Bobby Witt. He was a big reason why. Moving on to our outfield now, we've got 2 Astros leading the charge, and it starts with Chas McCormick, 351 average, 6 home runs, 23 RBIs, an OPS of 1.128. And of course, Kyle Tucker, who we'll definitely talk about more later in this episode. 359 average, 7 home runs, 23 RBIs, an OPS of 1.119. So, good for Houston. They're trying to chase down the Rangers, but after that big winning streak they were just on, it's going to be a little bit harder for them. This last outfielder, I feel a little weird bringing him up here because most of the month he spent in the NL. But you know what? He finished in the AL. He is now in the AL, so I'm going to give it to him. Randall Grichuk. He's played 1 game in July as an Angel. The rest were as Rockies. But you know what? He had a good month regardless. So whether you want to call him an AL or an NL, you do you. But for me, Randall Grichuk, he's on the Angels. He's an AL player. Averaging 344 in the month of July. 7 home runs, 10 RBIs, an OPS of 1.101. I mean, the Angels went in all for it, getting Grichuk, getting Crone, getting Giolito, etc. Results haven't been their way yet. They have 1 win so far since the trade deadline ended, so but it hasn't been Grichuk's fault. Grichuk's been playing pretty well, even now starting in the month of August. But the month of July was very well for him, and he deserves all of this, so congratulations, Randall Grichuk. For the starting pitcher now, there was one candidate that kind of took this case by storm, I should say. Logan Gilbert from your Mariners, 4-0 in the month. Technically 5-0 if you count the no decision that eventually was a Mariners win. 2.78 ERA and 28 K, so not the greatest amount of strikeouts you've seen from a starting pitcher, nor ERA, but you know what? To win ball games is something that you need to be able to do as a starting pitcher, and Logan Gilbert's been doing that for the Mariners. He had that one game, a complete game shutout, 9 innings pitched. So for me, I think he was the most deserving, so congratulations, Logan Gilbert. For the Rookie of the month, I was about to say the year. For the Rookie of the month for AL, we have a new name on the list I have not seen, but he has been a part of the Red Sox, their tear recently. You know, they've had some streaky success in the month of July, but Tristan Casas has done really well and averaging 349, 1.199 OPS, 7 home runs, 13 ribbies. Yeah, good for him. You know, a lot of those rookies in that AL league now with Gunnar Henderson and now Tristan Casas. So good for Boston to get your guy up there. And now for our special/DH guy, I want to give a shout out to this guy because A, he's Canadian like myself, and B, he definitely could have won the second base AL of the month, but I decided to give it to Witt. Eduardo Julian, 369 average, 1.184 OPS, 6 home runs, 9 ribbies. I mean, this guy, you know, we saw him in the World Baseball Classic, thought, wow, this guy's actually not too bad. The Twins called him up around May, and he's been doing really well for himself recently. And you love to see that when a young player kind of, you know, gets on it and starts to play really well. It's the best thing. He easily could have also been the Rookie of the month, but I think Tristan Casas definitely does edge him out a little bit. But a good month regardless for Julian, so congratulations to him. That is your AL Player of the Month. Moving on now to the NL side. Starting off with the catcher, we have William Contreras from your Brew Crew. 365 average, 3 home runs, 18 RBIs, an OPS of 955. Really good month for him. You know, he's not that power guy like other catchers are, but he had a good month regardless. And yeah, so good for William Contreras there, good for the Brewers. For first baseman, Freddie Freeman, 359 average, 7 home runs, 20 RBIs, an OPS of 1.123. I don't know, guys. At this point, I'm trying to think Freddie might be immortal. I know he's not that old yet, but he still does it no matter like what year it's been. He's always hit well. It amazes me that he only has one MVP in his career, but he is an elite hitter. And he had a very good month of July, so congratulations, Freddie. Second baseman, Ha-Sung Kim from your Padres, 337 average, 5 home runs, 9 RBIs, an OPS of 1 dot. So good stuff there for Kim. For the Padres, they've been getting better, and so have their players, because right after him, for third baseman, we have Manny Machado, 309 average, 11 home runs, 29 RBIs, an OPS of 1.092. The Padres have been playing better as of late. You know, we always talked about kind of the Cardinals, Padres, and Mets, how they all sucked in like May and June. Who's going to get things going? Like, there's no way all three of these teams missed the playoffs. Cardinals sold, Mets sold. The Padres, though, they kind of stayed the same. They made a small move here and there, and now they're starting to win some games. I think that team's finally starting to get going. They've got the potential now. They've always had the potential, but they're starting to figure it out. And, you know, they're around the Diamondbacks. They're getting closer and closer to wild card. So, you know, we'll see what the Padres end up come September. But good for Machado and Kim there. For the shortstop, Francisco Lindor from your Mets. At least you have one good thing, New York, to be happy about. 276 average, 5 home runs, 11 RBIs, and 922 OPS. So yeah, not much really to say. Lindor, he's a good ball player. Mets, not a great team this year. Is what it is. For the outfielder, now this is the type of stuff you like to see, even if it is for Play of the Month. You'd like to see the stars, and I'm about to read to you guys a little nostalgic for you guys. The outfielders, starting off, the best one, Cody Bellinger. Yes, what are we living in, 2018, 2019? 400 average, 1.122 OPS, 8 home runs, 24 RBIs, good for Cody Bellinger. And if you think we were in 2018, 2019, the next guy's going to make you confirm that we are. Christian Yelich. Yes, Cody Bellinger and Christian Yelich. These two are like peas in a pod when you think about them. So similar in terms of, how their highs of the MVP votings of 1 and 2 in 2018, 2019 to now being kind of reduced to nothing over the last 2 years. And now this year, they've both kind of stepped back up again. For Christian Yelich for the month of July, 333 average, 7 home runs, 22 RBIs, 1.015 OPS. You just love to see it. Those are things that, kind of warms your heart a little bit. So, good for the Cubs, good for the Brewers. They're now division rivals. So, things are just coming up for them. And Cody Bellinger has definitely taken off in the right direction after his recent struggles with the Dodgers last couple of years. Last outfielder here, Juan Soto from your Padres. So 3 Padres make the July Player of the Month list for me. I didn't realize that until now. 271 average, 6 home runs, 22 RBIs, an OPS of 960. So good for Soto there. For your starting pitcher for the NL side, another Brewer here, Corbin Burnes, 4-1 record, 1.85 ERA, 47 strikeouts, so very good month, for Corbin Burnes here. The Brewers are on top of the division, but the Reds and the Cubs are on them. So, you have to have elite pitching, which the Brewers have. You look past Corbin Burnes, Brandon Woodruff is back, and if he can get back to kind of the ways that he can pitch, Freddie Peralta recently has been dominating, and we have another good start for him to go over later. So it's good for the Brewers to have that pitching. Maybe that's going to keep them atop that NL Central. Now our rookie of the month. I keep doing the rookie of the year. Rookie of the month for the NL, Francisco Alvarez, who also would have won it for catcher if I don't like doing it, back and back. Francisco Alvarez, 275 average, 8 home runs, 16 RBIs, an OPS of 974. A very good month for him. This guy I definitely see as the kind of the Mets catcher going forward. Him and, Pete Alonso, I can kind of see as that 1-2 punch that the Mets have, going forward in 2025 when they start being competitive again, like they said. But yeah, good for Francisco Alvarez. I definitely think he's the only really NL rookie that I can think of right now, top of my head, that gives Corbin Carroll a run for his money for Rookie of the Year. So good for Alvarez. And, good for the Mets, I guess. You got two players in your July Player of the Month, and you guys are nowhere in the NL East. Anyways, moving on now. Our special /DH spot for the NL side, I'm going with Matt Olson. He's had a great month. 325 average, 8 home runs, 22 RBIs, an OPS of 1.093. Matt Olson has been killing it recently, and you'll hear in the series recap, but this guy has tied Ohtani with 40 home runs. So, Matt Olson, it's good to be a Brave. Good to be a Brave fan because, these guys don't go anywhere anytime soon. The Braves are locked in for a couple more years of success, and Matt Olson is definitely the guy at the helm. So good for the Braves, good for Matt Olson. That will do it for our NL Players of the Month. So moving on from my Players of the Month, we'll take a look at MLBs and what they have said. Starting with the AL Player of the Month, it is Shohei Ohtani, 282 average, 1.152 OPS, 9 home runs, and 14 RBIs. And although Shohei wasn't on mine, we can agree that he had a great month. He's having one of the best seasons ever that MLB has ever seen in the history of MLB. But when I was looking at it, comparing this month for Ohtani to last month, Ohtani's last month was incredible. So looking at these numbers, they didn't really jump off the page for me, but still very good numbers regardless. And good for Ohtani there. Your NL Player of the Month, Cody Bellinger. We mentioned him, 400 average, 1.122 OPS, 8 home runs, 24 RBI. So good for Bellinger. I think he had the best month regardless of all the players in baseball. And, it's deserving here, being the best NL for sure. And I think he definitely outbeats Ohtani. A 400 average is incredible. 40 hits, over 100 at-bats. I think that was the actual numbers. So, good for Bellinger there. Your AL of the month, July pitcher of the month for AL, Tyler Glasnow, 3-2 record, 2.11 ERA, 51 Ks. So, good stuff from Glasnow. I went with Gilbert. But Glasnow had a respectable month as well. Those 51 Ks almost doubles what Gilbert had. Just those 2 losses for Glasnow kind of shifted me away from him and more towards Logan Gilbert. But Glasnow, regardless, a good month. One of the only now healthy Rays pitchers that, comes to mind when you think of them. But we'll go over that a little bit more later on. July pitcher of the month for the NL, Corbin Burnes. We mentioned that. 4-1, 1.85 ERA, 47 K. So good for Burnes. The rookie of the months. He's almost did it for a third time. They had the same ones as us, as what I had. Rookie for the AL, Tristan Casas. Rookie for the NL, Francisco Alvarez. So good for them. And now the relievers, something I do not touch. Reliever for the AL, they chose Felix Bautista, who is the most deserving. He was 3-0 in the span as a reliever. 8 saves, 25 strikeouts, and his ERA, 0. The whole month of July, he did not allow a single run on his watch. So, that's more elite than elite can get. So, Felix Bautista, Baltimore Orioles, you've got your guy, man. That guy is dominating hitters right now. So, good for him. For the NL side, reliever of the month, Devin Williams from your Brewers. 11.2 innings pitched, 10 saves, 21 strikeouts, an ERA of 1.54. Devin Williams, ever since Hader left, he's kind of taken over that closer role for the Brewers, and he's done a remarkable job. But do I think Hader is better? Probably, but this month it was definitely Devin Williams, so good for him, good for the Brewers to have both pitcher and reliever of the months. Pitching wins you ball games, and that's what the Brewers need right now, and that is to win some ball games. Looking at their team of the month for catcher, they have Francisco Alvarez. First baseman, Tristan Casas. They're your rookies right there. Second baseman is Whit Merrifield. Shortstop, Bobby Witt Jr. Third baseman, Manny Machado. Left fielder, Chas McCormick. Center fielder, Cody Bellinger. Right fielder, Kyle Tucker. DH, Shohei Ohtani. Starting pitcher, Corbin Burnes. And relief pitcher, Felix Bautista. So those, you've kind of heard some names kind of overlap. Those would be your best of the best for the players of the month for July. Guys that really stood out to me, Cody Bellinger, number 1, obviously. Felix Bautista with that no runs in the whole month, very stands out. Manny Machado, Kim, Soto having some Padres up there, that stands out to me. So yeah, good stuff regardless. That is your July players of the month. With that all being said and done, let's now dive into the usual series recap. All right, starting things off, we're going back to last week. The Dodgers and the Padres, they had 4 games set, but only 3 of them were talked about. For that 4th game, which was on the Monday, the Padres score 5 runs in the 3rd inning, including a 2-run home run by Luis Campusano. The Dodgers, though, answer right away in the 4th with 8 runs, including a grand slam from Mookie Betts. They later add a 5-run 6th inning with Kike Hernandez home run, as the Dodgers take 3 of 4 versus the Padres, going back to the last episode, as they win this game 13-7. Now moving on to this week's series recap, and we're starting off with the Astros and Baltimore, and we're starting off with a hell of a game. Ryan Mountcastle, Ali Rutschman, homer early, and we would end up in the 9th inning with Baltimore up 3, and in comes Felix Bautista to lock down the save. He was elite. We mentioned him in the player of the months. O's fans should have felt safe. Bautista's first 4 batters up was a walk, 2 singles, and a strikeout. So with 1 out, the bases are loaded. Baltimore's up by 3. Up comes Kyle Tucker, and after an intense battle and 8 pitches, on that 9th pitch, 100 miles an hour down the middle, Kyle Tucker turns on it and launches the go-ahead grand slam off of one of the best closers in baseball. Kyle Tucker wins it for the Astros as they hold Baltimore in their half of the 9th. What a game, what a moment for Kyle Tucker. Astros win it 7-6. Game 2, Kyle Tucker, he starts the game the same way he ended the last game with a home run. The Astros score 4 runs in the 8th inning and end up beating the O's once more by the score of 8-2. For that final game, Adley Rutschman and Ryan Mountcastle, they homer again for the O's, while Yanier Diaz and Jose Altuve go deep for the Astros. The difference in this game was that Mountcastle's bomb was a 2-run shot compared to the others being a solo shot. The Oilers avoid the sweep and take the last game of the series, winning it 5-4. Cardinals and Rays now, and Arenado and Isaac Paredes trade off home runs early in the game. The Rays would go on and add 3 runs in the 8th inning, which would end up being the difference in this game as they take the opener, being the Cardinals 4-2. In Game 2, Jose Siri hit 2 home runs in the game. Wander Franco joined him later with one of his own. But despite that, the Cardinals would score 5 runs in the 3rd inning, and then Lars Nootbaar hit a home run that would keep them up as the Cardinals even the series 6-4. And for that final game, the rubber-matched Cardinals score 5 straight runs, including home runs from Andrew Knizner and Tommy Edman. The Cardinals end up beating the Rays in the series as they take 2 of 3, winning it 5-2. The Royals and the Red Sox now, and after coming back from being down 2 to tie the game, the Royals were looking to hold Boston in the 9th and send it to extras. Luis Urias ended up walking on what should have been a check swing strike 3, which would have ended the inning. Instead, it set up Pablo Reyes to hit a walk-off grand slam as the Red Sox take the first of 4 versus the Royals, beating them 6-2. After almost 11 months without Trevor Story, he is back and is healthy and he's playing baseball once again. Unfortunately, he went 0-4 in his return, but it's still good to see him out there and playing. Drew Waters, MJ Melendez, and Michael Massey all go deep for the Royals as they even up the series, winning it 9-3. MJ Melendez would follow up with 2 more home runs in this game, but unfortunately they were both solo shots, and the Red Sox scored 3 runs in the 4th inning, which would give them the lead as they would hold for the game as they beat the Royals 4-3. And with Sale's return just around the corner, James Paxton gave it all he could in a start that would keep the Royals down and blank them, as 2 runs were enough for Boston as they win it and take 3 of 4 in the series, beating the Royals 2-0. Moving along now, we have the Yankees and the White Sox. Andrew Vaughn gets to Cole, and it's a 2-run home run early. The White Sox would add 3 runs in the 8th inning. The Yankees couldn't even score 2 runs as they dropped the first game to the White Sox, losing to them 5-1. In Game 2, Kyle Higashioka and Aaron Judge go deep for the Yankees. The White Sox only run came off the bat from Luis Robert Jr. He hits a home run, but the Yankees win it and even the series 7-1. And for that final game, a 3-run 2nd inning got things started for the White Sox, and a 4-run 8th inning put the stamp on the game as the White Sox take 2 of 3 versus the Yankees, beating them 9-2. Blue Jays and Guardians. Gavin Williams and Hyunjin Ryu were both on cruise control until Ryu had to leave the game after getting hit by a comebacker off of his leg. Williams still shoved though until the 7th inning. He allowed 1 hit and struck out 12. We would still be tied at 0 until Kevin Biggio launched a 2-run home run to put the Blue Jays up, and then make a nice unassisted double play later to keep the game close and hold it as the Guardians lose the first game. The Blue Jays win it 1-4, 3-1. Another pitcher's duel, this one between Tanner Bibee and Yusei Kikuchi. This had us at zeros once again. The Blue Jays out-hit the Guardians 9-3 but couldn't score a run, while the Guardians could on their new addition Ramon Laureano. That would even the series up as the Guardians win it 1-0. Game 3, George Springer gets things started in the first with a solo shot to put the Jays up, and after that, the rest of the game was just pitching. Kevin Gausman was locked in, and after that home run, Logan Allen settled in, but that 1 home run from Springer would loom large as that would be the only run scored for the 2nd straight game. This time it's the Blue Jays winning it 1-0. And for that last game, well, so far it's been 3 games and 6 runs, so you should have taken the under in this 4th game, but it had a combined 7 runs, which ended up being more than the other 3 games combined. The Guardians will find a way to win that last game. They split the 2-game set versus the Blue Jays as they win it 4-3. Now another 4-game set, this one between the Twins and the Tigers. Pablo Lopez, he dominates the Tigers as Ryan Jeffers and Carlos Correa both hit 3-run home runs. The Twins take the first game, beating the Tigers 9-3. Game 2, Erod continues to deal for the Tigers as he and the Tigers pen blanks the Twins. Jake Rogers helps the offense with his 14th homer of the year. Tigers win it and even up this series 6-0. Third game, Spencer Torkelson launches 2 home runs in the game, bringing him up to 17 on the year, as that would help elevate the Tigers offense as they beat the Twins once again 9-5. And the final game, Riley Green launches a ball 453 feet, as that and a Zach McKinstry double produced all the runs in the game, as the Tigers drop the opener, then come back and win 3 straight as they take the series versus the Twins, beating them in that last game 3-0. The Rangers and the A's, and after falling down 3-0, the Rangers turned it on and scored 5 straight unanswered runs and end up winning the opener in come-from-behind fashion as they beat the A's 5-3. Game 2, Corey Seager goes 3 for 5 with a home run and a double, as that would help the Rangers offense get another one as Max Scherzer puts a hold on the A's as the Rangers take it again 6-1. And for that final game, the Rangers get blanked as Zach Gelof goes deep for his 6th of the year. The A's hand the Rangers their first loss since the trade deadline. Their winning streak ends at 8 as the A's avoid the sweep, beating the Rangers 2-0. Now a quick 2-game set between the Padres and the Mariners. And Logan Gilbert absolutely shoves versus the Padres and blanks them as the Mariners score 2 runs, which is all they would need to win the first game as they beat the Padres 2-0. And in the other game, tied at 1 entering the 8th, the Mariners turn it on for 5 runs, including a 2-run go-ahead home run from Kyle Raleigh to take the lead as the Mariners get the 2-game sweep over the Padres, winning it 6-1. The Giants and the Angels now. The Angels enter the 9th upper run looking to win the game, but the Giants would have different plans. They rally for 6 runs to flip the script as they get a come-from-behind win and steal one from the Halos, 8-3 Giants. Game 2, Lucas Giolito helps the Angels end their losing streak and get their first win since the trade deadline as Brandon Drury hits his 15th home run of the year. The Angels even up the series, winning it 7-5, and Mike Moustakas delivers in a big way, tied at 1 in the 3rd game. He launched a 3-run home run in the 6th to get the Angels the lead, as Ohtani pitches well enough to keep the Giants down. The Angels win 2 of 3 and take the series, beating the Giants 4-1. The Nationals and the Phillies now. They would play 4 games, but rain on Monday set the series to start as a doubleheader on Tuesday. And it starts with Keibert Ruiz and Lane Thomas hitting home runs off of Zach Wheeler, but the Phillies would tie it up with home runs from Kyle Schwarber and Alec Boehm, and later they would take the lead with Kyle Schwarber's 2nd home run of the day, a 3-run shot. Jake Cave homers as insurance. The Phillies get Game 1, 8-4. Game 2, Bryce Harper home run gives the Phillies the lead. Joey Meneses later, he would tie it up with his 10th of the year. And in the 9th, still tied, it would be Joey Meneses once again, his 2nd home run of the game. That would put the Nats up and get them the win as they even the series 5-4. Game 3, what a day in Philly. Weston Wilson, who had spent 8 years in the minors, got the call and made his major league debut and homered in his first ever MLB at-bat. Nicholas Castellanos, he hits 2 home runs in the game for his 199th and 200th career home runs, but even with those 2 stories, it wasn't the main one. Michael Lorenzen, making his first home start as a Philly, throws the 4th no-hitter of the year Ever since he said he was an all-star, he's been on a tear, and this was the biggest game of his life. The Phillies win it in no-hit fashion, 7-0. And in that final game, Trey Turner, Nick Castellanos, and JT Realmuto all homer for the Phillies, who have been hot as of late. They end up winning 3 of 4 versus the Nationals as they beat them 6-2. The Cubs and the Mets now. Pete Alonso homers twice, driving in 6 runs as Kodai Senga keeps the Cubs quiet in this one, leading to a Mets win by the score of 11-2. In Game 2, Pete Alonso starts with a 2-run home run, but then the Cubs meet Cody Bellinger and Mike Tauchman both homer, as well as Yan Gomes with an RBI double. That scores 3 runs. The Cubs come from behind and even the series, beating the Mets 3-2. And in that last game, Christopher Morel and Seiya Suzuki go deep for the Cubs, while Pete Alonso and Jeff McNeil go deep for the Mets. For Alonso, it was his 4th home run of the series, which helped the Mets win the series as they take the rubber match and beat the Cubs 4-3. Marlins and Reds now, 2 teams competing for the NL wild card, and Yuri Perez is back in the majors after getting recalled, but the game wouldn't go in his favor as Christian Encarnacion Strand and Joey Votto hit back-to-back home runs off of him, which would lead to a Reds win as they win it 5-2. In Game 2, Jorge Soler goes 3 for 3 with a walk in the game. He also hits a 2-run home run in the 7th, which would put the Marlins up and be the difference in the game as the Marlins even up the series, winning it 3-2. And in that final game, Spencer Steer and Christian Encarnacion Strand go deep for the Reds, while Josh Bell hits 2 home runs, 1 from each side of the plate, as the big switch-hitting slugger was the reason the Marlins stayed in this game, scoring all 4 of their runs, leading to the tie that ended in the 9th as Brian De La Cruz, he hits a home run, breaks the tie, and took the lead for the Marlins. They hold the Reds and win the rubber match as they win 2 of 3, getting a come-from-behind win against the Reds, 5-4. Now we have the Braves and the Pirates would take on Spencer Strider and get the better of him as they scored 6 runs in the 3rd inning. The Braves would start a comeback, but a home run from Connor Joe put that out of reach. The Pirates take the first of 4, winning it 7-6. Game 2, 4 Pirate home runs from guys like Ke'Bryan Hayes and Brian Reynolds would get them out to an early lead, but this time the Braves started their comeback and they would finish it. Orlando Arcia, he homers in the game, then down a run in the 9th, the Braves score 3 runs, including a 2-run double from Orlando Arcia, as the Braves win to even the series 8-6. Another close game between these two would end up falling the Braves' way after taking the lead in the 8th and holding the Pirates from there as they beat the Pirates 6-5. In that final game, Matt Olson ties Ohtani with his 40th home run of the year. But this time, it would be the Pirates' turn to come back, as Ke'Bryan Hayes would have a triple and 3 RBIs on the day, and would hold the Braves as they split the 4-game set 2 each, winning it 7-5. Rockies and Brewers, Bryce Terang, Tyrone Taylor, and Sal Frelick all homer in the game. The Brewers unload on the Rockies as they take the opener 12-1. Game 2, Nolan Jones hits 2 home runs as we would end up in a 3-3 tie entering extras. The Brewers would throw this game away by walking in 3 runs. The Rockies add a 4th. They win it and even the series 7-3. Jumping along in this last game, we would end up tied at 5 and need extras once more. The Rockies score a run in the top of the 10th. The Brewers answer with one of their own, but then they would walk it off on a Rocky error as they now throw the game away in extras. So it ends up being fair as they both give each other a win. The Brewers take 2 of 3 versus the Rockies, winning it 7-6. Lastly, here we have the Dodgers and the D-backs for a quick 2-game set between division foes. The Dodgers take a 4-0 lead and hold the D-backs for most of the game, but the Diamondbacks would try and come back with 2 runs in the 8th and 2 runs in the 9th, but the Dodgers were able to score 1 run in the top of the 9th as well before the D-backs got there too. They beat them. The Diamondbacks lose their 7th straight and fall to 500, losing to the Dodgers 5-4. In that other game, Merrill Kelly leads the game with an injury as things get worse for the D-backs, who get blanked by the Dodgers as they drop their 8th straight game and are now under 500 as the Dodgers get 2-game sweep, beating the Diamondbacks 2-0. That was a long one here, and now we're going to our game of the week, which will 100% be Houston and Baltimore, that first game. Bottom of the first, Ryan Mountcastle, number 14 on the year, 2-0 Baltimore. Bottom of the second, James McCann reaches on a fielder's choice, making it 3-0 Baltimore. Then Adley Rutschman, he launches his 15th home run of the year, 5-0 Baltimore. Top of the third, Kyle Tucker gets things started for the Astros, makes it 5-1 after driving in a run on a single. Yanyer Diaz, sac fly, 5-2. Bottom of the fourth, James McCann, a sac fly, now 6-2 Baltimore. That would stay the way until the top of the 8th, where Jeremy Pena singles in a run to make it 6-3. And that takes you to the top of the 9th, where Kyle Tucker, on the 9th pitch of the at-bat, grand slam, home run number 20 on the year for Kyle Tucker. That was the best at-bat I have seen in a long time. So good for Kyle Tucker, good for the Astros. Tough one if you're Baltimore, but that is your game of the week. So now let's start chugging through our baseball news, starting with the Brawl Suspensions from the White Sox and Guardians. Tim Anderson received a 6-game suspension. Jose Ramirez received 3. Emmanuel Clase received 1. The managers both received 1, and there was a couple other fines for guys like Michael Kopech. Arias got a fine. So yeah, those were what the punishments were for the Brawl. Moving along now, but not really, because we're still talking about the White Sox and their clubhouse problems. Now, over, the recent days, a couple of players and just people in general have come out and talked about the White Sox. The first story that released was that Grandal left a day early before the All-Star break, which is why he wasn't in the lineup the last game. And Tim Anderson obviously was not happy with that, said, F him, I'll pay for his flight. If you don't want to play, then don't be here. And apparently Grandal then went over while Tim Anderson was in the tub and slapped him. Grandal came out and said that this was fake. He left the day early to spend the time with his family, and that it's low by the reporters to try and make up a story. Is it true? Is it not true? We have no idea. But something that is true is that Keon Middleton, a White Sox pitcher who was traded to the Yankees recently, he went on comment and made some remarks about the White Sox having kind of a no-rules culture, saying that players will sleep in the bullpen mid-game, that they're, get away with a lot of stuff there that other teams wouldn't, and that's why he was so happy that he had gotten traded. The White Sox general manager says that although there is clubhouse issues and there are problems, no one has ever slept in the bullpen or, disregarded a lot of the remarks that Middleton made. I find it interesting. There really hasn't been a leader for the White Sox this year since Jose Abreu left. And, I think Luis Robert, Eloy Jimenez, those kind of guys are too young. And someone like Tim Anderson really isn't a leader, even though he's probably the most veteran guy on the team. It's tough if you're a White Sox because, not only are you having struggles off the field or on the field, you're not having them off the field with all these issues. But, at the end of the day, it won't be as worse as what the Kevin Brown situation. That's a whole other story. So Kevin Brown, for those who don't know, is a commentator for the Baltimore games on TV, the Oilers. He was suspended by the general manager because of a comment he made saying how poorly the Oilers have played against the Rays in previous years. And, was making remarks about how different this Baltimore team is because they've been doing really well against the Rays. And, that was the whole thing, right? They had a graphic and everything. They showed it on the TV, the music plays, whatever. Apparently, the manager thought that comment made him sound cheap in previous years, and that's why he suspended him. Now, the problem is that Kevin Brown is just a reporter. He just gets told what to say. He gets handed this stuff. People make the graphic, people make the notes. He's not the one sitting around and finding the stats, right? For me, with this podcast as a joke, I do everything. I find the stats. I do it all, right? Kevin Brown, the way they are now, he's just the reporter. He's the face, he's the commentator, but someone else got those graphics. So why was he suspended? And over the previous week, a lot of other commentators have been on the air shaming the Baltimore GM. Guys like Michael Kay, Gary Cohen, Jason Benetti, John Sterling, Susan Waldman, Chip Carey, all those people are the ones that I saw at least. Talked about the Kevin Brown situation well on the air, saying that it sucks because Baltimore's been playing really well, and now this is just something to, put Baltimore back in the limelight, make them look bad. And it's a really bad decision. His suspension does end today. He should be reporting today for the Baltimore game. But yeah, it was just a bad case regardless. He shouldn't have just been suspended because, this was something that was talked about, that was planned, it was approved. They made the graphic for, all he did was read it, and, it's really a sad thing. Kevin Brown, Baltimore's fans have come to his aid, and in one of the recent games this week, they were screaming, free Kevin Brown and everything, so it looks good for the fans, it looks good if, people feel bad for Kevin Brown, but the only thing it doesn't look good for is the Baltimore general manager. That's just poor. But yeah, just want to mention that quickly. The Dodgers, recently in the trade market, they had made a move in exchange with the White Sox for some international slot money, which at the time looked like a who cares deal. But now it is something of that is a very important deal. The Dodgers have signed Hyun-Suk Jang, a 19-year-old right-handed pitcher who just finished high school in Korea. This guy was supposed to be the number one pick in the upcoming Korean baseball draft, and he said that he didn't want to go to Korean baseball. He wanted to go right to the majors, and now he's a Dodger, and he has a lot of potential. He's about 6'3". His fastball clock's at 97. He's an elite player and or elite, young prospect at least, and now he is officially with the Dodgers. So good for them to make that move. I believe he's getting just under $1 million in international signing bonus. So, yeah, good for the Dodgers. Good for Jang. Lastly here, the no-hitter Michael Lorenzen. His second start as a Philly after being traded. His first start at home. It's the fourth no-hitter of the year. Second one of the month already, with Fromber being the one just over a week ago. So, good for him. Since Michael Lorenzen himself came out on the air and said that he was surprised he was an All-Star because he was an All-Star, his ERA was 4.28 and he was shocked. Since saying that, he's made 6 starts for the Tigers and 2 with the Phillies. He's thrown almost 41 innings, 40.2 innings pitched. His ERA, 1.11. His ERA on the year now has gone from 4.28 to 3.23. He has had a great stretch of baseball, and right now is probably the best trade winner for the Phillies. When you look at all the trades so far, the players, how they've been doing, he's been the best. He had a great first start, and he follows that up with a no-hitter. So yeah, really good stuff for Michael Lorenzen. Good for him. I've always liked him, even when I, first started watching him as a member of the Reds, kind of a reliever that, he is a switch hitter in a sense, or a two-way player, should I say. He obviously doesn't do it like Ohtani does it, but he did it when the Reds, when they had, there was no DH in the NL, and he would bat with the Reds sometimes, play in the outfield even. So, good for Michael Lorenzen. Big fan of his. So, yeah, there's that. And lastly here, we have some injuries to talk about really quickly. It's said that Mr. Josh Jang from your Texas Rangers, he will be out for 6 weeks while he gets surgery for his thumb. That's a big blow for the Rangers. It's a big blow for him because, he was one of the guys that was going to be talked about for a Rookie of the Year candidate. But yeah, it's a big upset for the Rangers. They've lost Jonah Heim. Now they lose Josh Young. And yeah, it's a tough one for the Rangers. And speaking of tough for top teams, Shane McClanahan, Kevin Cash says that he is highly unlikely to return this season, which is a huge blow for the Rays because he's definitely the ace of that staff. And when you look at the guys who are already on the injured list, Shane Baz, Drew Rasmussen, Jeffrey Springs, and now Shane McClanahan, all four of those guys are out for the season, if that is the case. If McClanahan is done for the season, that's 4 of their 5, essentially, rotation arms that are out for the season. The only one who's healthy, Tyler Glasnow, which is funny because he seems like he's the only one that's been hurt. And now he's healthy and everyone else is hurt. Like, it is unbelievable to see that. It's unfortunate for the Rays. You know, obviously they have depth in the starting position. What? I don't even know what I'm saying here. They have depth, but, you know, it's going to be tough for the Rays going forward. We've talked about how they had an incredible start and they've been kind of, not mediocre, but 500 as of late. And this is just going to be a really unfortunate blow for them. We'll have to see. You know, Zach Eflin's been holding a lot of the weight for the Rays recently. But, yeah, just wanted to mention that quickly. Now that will do it for the baseball news. As I have thought and now seen, we are running long, so we're going to skip our hot and cold for today. Moving along to outstanding performances, Zach Eflin, 7 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, 8 Ks. Gavin Williams, 7 innings pitched, 1 hit, no earned runs, 1 walk, 12 Ks. Pablo Lopez, 7 innings pitched, 5 hits, no earned runs, no walks, 8 Ks. Freddie Peralta, 7 innings pitched, 1 hit, 1 earned run, no walks, 13 Ks. Eduardo Rodriguez, 7 innings pitched, 4 hits, no earned runs, 3 walks, 5 Ks. Yusei Kikuchi, 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 6 Ks. Tanner Beebe, 7 innings pitched, 6 hits, no earned runs, no walk, 6 Ks. Logan Gilbert, 7 innings pitched, 1 hit, no earned run, no walks, 12 Ks. Kevin Gausman, 7 innings pitched, 4 hits, no earned runs, no walks, 6 Ks. Shohei Ohtani, 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, no earned runs, 3 walks, 5 Ks. Merrill Kelly, 6 innings pitched, 6 hits, no earned runs, 2 walks, 2 Ks. Bobby Miller, 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, no earned runs, 4 walks, 4 Ks. Yu Darvish, 6 innings pitched, 6 hits, no earned runs, 2 walks, 4 Ks. Matthew Liberatore, 8 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs, no walks, 7 Ks. And lastly, Michael Lorenzen, 9 innings pitched, no hits, no earned runs, 4 walks, 5 Ks, a no-hitter. Those are your outstanding performances. For our stat leaderboard, we'll just go over a couple things quickly. Matt Olson now ties Shohei Ohtani for the lead with 40 home runs. Freddie Freeman now ties Ronald Acuna Jr. with runs at 101. Matt Olson, 101 RBIs. He still leads. Soto's at 99 walks. Acuna at 53 stolen bases. Ohtani's OPS has gone down, but he still leads. Leading the league in wins is Taijuan Walker and Justin Steele with 13 each. Blake Snell, ERA 2.61. And for the saves, Camilo Doval and Alexis Diaz are now tied at the top with 33. Everyone else still remains at the top. Strider leads in Ks, Arias leads in hits on average, and so forth and so forth. But that is your stat leaderboard. Moving along now, we have our upcoming series, and we start with the Cubs at the Blue Jays, Tigers at Red Sox, Guardians at Rays, Cardinals at Royals, Brewers at White Sox, Oilers at Mariners, Angels at Astros, A's at Nationals, Braves at Mets, Yankees at Marlins, Twins at Phillies, Reds at Pirates, Rangers at Giants, Rockies at Dodgers, and the Padres at the Diamondbacks. That is a big one. If you're a Diamondbacks or Padres fan, circle that series. That is your upcoming series there. And lastly now, our playoff predictor. We start with the Blue Jays at the Twins. Blue Jays win it. Astros at Rays. Astros win it. The first time the Rays have ever lost in the wild card. Blue Jays at Rangers. Rangers win it. Astros at Oilers. Astros win it. Astros at Rangers. Astros wins it. Moving on to the NL side, Marlins at Brewers. The Brewers win it. Giants at Phillies. The Phillies win it. Phillies at Braves, and it's the Phillies who upset the Braves. Brewers at Dodgers. The Dodgers beat the Brewers. Phillies at Dodgers. It is again the Dodgers. That brings us to a 2017 World Series rematch. Astros at Dodgers, and it still is your Houston Astros who win it. They are your 2023 champions. That is going to do it for us today. Thank you everybody so much for listening for this lengthier episode, and I will see you guys on Monday.